it looks like our opponent's playing the rack. In which case, we want to try to keep our number of cards in hand very high. So, again, we're just keeping all these in hand, trying to make it so that we have as many turns against them top decking the rack as possible. There's no reason for us to play this amulet. Like, it would cost us getting a token, and this lets us play around Wrench Mind a little better. So, yeah, I'm actually just going to activate the Saga and pass here. Alright, guys, we are here for match 3 with the list you see on screen right in front of you. We are doing some crazy Through the Breach shenanigans, and if you are not familiar with this deck list and some of the card inclusions, then check out match 1, where I do an in-depth deck tech and talk about the card choices, the new lines that Through the Breach introduces, and some of the new play to the deck. And yeah, I'm excited to just jump in here for match 3, so I will see you guys in the games. Alrighty, let's hop in here for the match. Playing against Baker Rage. We have a double Amulet draw here. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a keep. We get to play turn 2 Dryad, Bounce Land, Empath, turn 3 Titan with double Amulet, so that seems pretty good. We even have Empath to play around sacrifice effects. If our opponent happens to be playing Kaya's Guile again, our opponent molds to 5. I hope this is a Tron matchup, because this hand would be insanely good in the Tron matchup. I mean, I guess unless they're on Eldrazi Tron, in which case the Thought-Knot Seer could be a problem if they have it on turn 3. We'll see, though. We'll make a green mana, because heck yeah, green mana. We'll play Amulet and pass. Alright, play your Tron land. Basic Swamp. That is not at all even close to what I expected. Yeah, I really don't know what to make of that at all. Inquisition. Yeah, about that one. Maybe they'll take Amulet? Maybe? Crossing fingers? I mean, I guess it's a good argument as to what do they even take here. Yeah, they take the Amulet. I mean, if they take Empath and we top deck Titan, they kind of just lose to Titan, so... yeah, let's leave Growth Chamber in play, I suppose, so we can potentially transmute. Although, to be honest, our opponent could be playing like a Black-White Stoneblade kind of deck, and they're mulliganing to try to find some Ephemerate Grief shenanigans or something. But, and in that case, they might play Field of Ruin and stuff as well, but regardless, yeah, let's play this Crumbling Vestige out. And then turn 3, we'll play the Empath, and assuming that we don't draw Titan. And then turn 4, we'll play said Titan after we show our opponent that they can Thoughtseize it out of our hand. That'll be fun. If we just draw Titan here, though, we kind of just win. Another... How about third Amulet? Third Amulet would let us play the Empath and Titan and do all the things. Smallpox. Smallpox? Gross. Okay. Yeah, I guess our opponent could be on 8 rack? Question mark? Or the like a black-white smallpox type strategy? Like, okay. Well, now that we know about smallpox, we've got to be very careful in the future. I think we can only afford to discard a Gruul Turf here. And we're stacking the Crumbling Vestige. What do you take me for? We'll play the Empath, I guess, and, yeah. Alright, untap land off the top, please. Azusa. Yeah, I guess we're... I was gonna say, I guess we're playing both of these out, but... then Smallpox making us discard Gruul Turf would be kind of brutal. If we play Azusa, and then next turn we have 8 mana, that would be 1 short of empathing for Titan and casting it. So I think we actually do just have to play both out here, sadly. Show our opponent hand face up on the table that we have a Primeval Titan and a way to cast it. But, I mean, if they don't have anything they can do about it, then this is just game, right? So, we've got to go for it. If our opponent casts Smallpox, what are we doing? Get Emrakul? Nah. Let's get the Titan and pass. Yeah, if our opponent casts Smallpox, we kind of just lose on the spot. I mean, we get to keep Azusa in play. We probably keep the Gruul Turf, and then I guess if we top deck Titan, we can actually still cast it. So maybe there's a route if our opponent has second Smallpox. Okay, they have Wrench Mind. Ugh. Okay. Well, we need a lot of help. At least we got some 1-power creatures in play. We'll just start the slow beats, you know? I'm gonna keep that in hand in case our opponent has mind to Thoughtseize or Inquisition us or whatever. Or, what am I saying? In case our opponent has mind to play the Rack or Shrieking Affliction, then keeping these things in hand until the last possible second will be very beneficial for us. I guess it doesn't play around Wrenchmine or our opponent having Raven's Crime or something, but the likelihood is this force is just going to stick here on our hand. See, look at that. Thoughtseize. Good Thoughtseize, opponent. Good Thoughtseize. Yeah. It looks like our opponent's playing the Rack. In which case, we want to try to keep our number of cards in hand very high. So, again, we're just keeping all these in hand, trying to make it so that we have as many turns against them top decking the Rack as possible. Even though a bounce land off the top here is just lethal. So, there's that. And like I said, our actual 1-power beaters here are going the distance. It's really kind of fascinating to me. Another Summoner's Pact, okay. The Rack is a very unusual matchup. I think this is my first time playing Amulet against it, perhaps. I think I maybe played Amulet against the Rack one time before. It requires some very unique and strange play in order to, you know, actually be able to play against them. Like, for example, why we're just holding this forest in hand and doing nothing, right? Like, Inquisition, okay. In fact, playing against the Rack oftentimes involves not playing out your creatures like Azusa, and that way you have a higher number of cards in hand, you naturally hit land drops and have card advantage in the form of bounce lands and stuff, and you can't get blown out by smallpox either if you just don't play your creatures. So, I mean, you can, but not in the same way. You don't get 2-for-1 by smallpox. So oftentimes just not even playing your creatures is better than playing them against the Rack, which is very counterintuitive. Shrieking Affliction. Look at that. Look at that. See this force we've been holding in hand for like a billion turns? They're drawing with Castle. Okay. I mean, these 1-power beaters are just kind of doing the thing that they do. And again, why would we play anything here? Why play Forest and Dryad? I mean, we're going to be able to play Titan if we top deck a bounce land anyways at this point. We even have Smallpox covered by our incidental 3-mana 1/1. So, like, this way our opponent could... Actually, I just don't see anything they can do to get out of this, to be honest. I suppose if we play Dryad there... No, but that would put us down to 2 cards, so they could, like, cast a discard spell and we'd start taking damage from Afflictions and stuff. I don't know. Field of Ruin. Yeah, we don't care about this. Not at the moment. Are they drawing with Locthwain? Phew. Whew. Okay, okay. Emrakul doesn't seem like it would be the best card here. Smallpox, okay. We'll pitch Grazer, I guess. We'll sacrifice the Empath. Sacrifice the Growth Chamber. Our opponent is on a 1-turn clock after this upcoming attack phase. And we can still cast Titan if we top deck bounce land, so... And we're nowhere close to taking damage from the Rack. There we go. So our opponent is dead. Patience. That's all it takes, is patience. Doing a quick cursory check to the graveyard to make sure that we still have the Stronghold. No! Oh my gosh, that is tilting. Okay, our opponent scoops it up for us, but wow, that was... Okay, so we want Foundation Breaker and Force. We're not going to talk about what just happened. We want Explosives. Pin the Needle names Liliana, which is actually not that bad. Tracker is insane against them. Dismember is good against potential sideboard jukes, like random like pack rats, or like sometimes I guess they could have Dalfy Voidwalker as well. Like Dismember would be good there, but I don't know if it's good in general. Bog cleans up their Raven's Crimes. Ghost Quarter is good too. Our Boreal Grazer is actively horrendous, emptying 2 cards out of our hand. Through the Breach doesn't seem super necessary here. Emrakul seems not great either. On the other hand, Empath seems very good, giving us a tiny but significant threat while also refilling our hand. Cavern is irrelevant. Garen Brig is actually very good here, despite the fact that we're not trying to cast a fast Titan, because we're trying to keep limited numbers of lands in play so we can have a stocked hand size. Urza Saga seems very good here also, just making some threats. Teetering Peaks is not going to be necessary if we aren't playing Through the Breach. What else? Amulet's very good. Summoner's Pact is kind of weak. In fact, we can actually just hold an Amulet to pitch to Wrench Mine, so we don't get 2 for 1. Same with Explosives. Dryad is not as fantastic here, as it frequently doesn't cast Titan 1 and 2. We're unlikely to kill them with Valakut because Smallpox keeps our land count low, as well as us artificially keeping our land count low, so I don't mind trimming a Dryad here. Maybe it's just the second Pact. I think so. Again, the reason we're trimming Pact here is because if our opponent Smallpoxes us, we might not be able to pay for it, so see if our opponent chooses for us to be on the play. That would be common. No, they chose to put us on the draw, which is a little strange, I guess, for an 8-rack deck. Here we get to play turn 1 Saga, turn 2 Bounce Land, pick it up, turn 3 Saga, play Tracker, possibly? I think we keep this. We could even just lead on Talaria West, depending on what we see from our opponent here. If they Thoughtseize or Inquisition Away Tracker, maybe we lead on T-West. Or if we draw an untapped source, that's another reason to lead on T-West instead, so we can get both tokens out of Saga. Because if we play T-West Saga and then have to play Bounce Land anyways, we're not going to be able to make the tokens, so. Then, of course, we can just pick up the Saga and reset it regardless, so it's not really that important, but yeah. Even if they, like, Surgical Extraction Primeval Titan, it's really not, like, the end of the world. We still have alternate win conditions, so. Especially including Saga. Saga and Tracker do a lot of work in this match, I would imagine. It takes Summoner's Pact. Okay. That seemed like the worst card to take, but I mean, there's only 2 cards to take, so what can I really be saying here? We'll play out the T-West in case we draw the untapped land, I think. No need to get in a rush here to get Amulet into play. If they just have another Inquisition, then I guess them taking Summoner's Pact makes sense, but I don't see why they would take Pact over Tracker if they don't have another way to make us discard Tracker. So if they Wrench Mind us, I think we pitch the Explore and I almost want to say Titan. I do kind of want to play around Surgical a little bit, even though I don't think it's as impactful as it seems. Oh, they play Mishra's Factory. Interesting. I guess that one is better than Mutavault for them, right? Because they can activate it, and then it blocks as a 3/3 if it doesn't have Summoning Sickness. Yeah, it's pretty good. And then it attacks for 3 if they have another factory to tap and give +1/+1. I guess that is marginally better. Smallpox. Interesting. Okay, so that's another reason not to have played Saga on one. So we'll pitch the Explore here. I think that's fine. It just replaces itself. And would potentially drain our hand of a land. So I think Explore is like a fine pitch here. Explore is definitely very good against them, though. Alright, now I think we do have to play out the Saga. As we want to actually, you know, make land drops. Summoner's Pact. Wish we had that one in hand last turn so we could pitch that one instead, but okay. They pitched an Urborg, which kind of makes me inclined to think they might have a second Urborg, or they're worried about drawing a second Urborg. You know, they didn't want to have to Legend Rule one out of play, which makes sense. And again, we're seeing the beauty here of these bounce lands is when we play the Scroll Turf, we get to pick up the Saga and stay at 5 cards in hand, which actually makes this matchup very interesting against 8-rack, because if they can't keep us at a low number of cards in hand... Alright. Amulet's an interesting one here. If we don't play... Now, if we do play the Amulet and play Gruul Turf and pick up the Saga, the next turn we can play Gruul Turf and Pact for Azusa, play it, leave 1 floating land. So I guess a Grazer if we top decked it, which I don't think we have Grazers in deck, right? Now, we don't have any Grazers in deck, so there's no reason to potentially try to pack for anything this upcoming turn, and in which case I actually think it might be better to discard Amulet to a Wrench Mind. we'll have to decide that when the time comes. But because we could also just pitch Summoner's Pact and an irrelevant card. Again, Summoner's Pact is probably the worst card in our deck against them. We only have a couple, so we can transmute for them, but regardless. No second Smallpox, please. We couldn't have played around it, but this is the one way Smallpox really gets us, is if we can't afford to play around it and have to leave a bounce land alone in play. There's the second Urborg, so that theory did seem to come true. All right, Raven's Crime hits us. Summoner's Pact, of course. Not only because they could just, surgical extraction Summoner's Pact and get the other one out of our hand. That would be pretty horrendous. They do have Smallpox. Gross. Okay. Well, I think at this point we have to pitch the Titan. We play Saga, Amulet, next turn Gruul Turf, Tracker, keep the Gruul Turf in hand. Yeah, I think that's our only real line. I guess this is weak to them having Inquisition specifically. Off the top, of course. But, I mean, we still have 4 cards in hand. Like, look at this. Alright. Well, do we want to expose the Saga? I don't think that we do, because if our opponent does happen to top deck a third Smallpox, then having a second Amulet in place, though we don't really need that much to cast our spells, we can just play Gruul Turf and keep it in hand and have, like, 4 mana or more a turn if we have extra land drops as well. Like, that seems like it'll be more relevant than having a random forest, so swing for 2, we don't mind this. 2 damage a turn is probably not going to kill us, if I'm being completely honest. Gruul Turf. Yeah, I think here we just have to play the Tracker. And again, it's one of those situations where we could choose to play around Smallpox by picking up the Gruul Turf. But if we do that, I mean, we have another Gruul Turf anyways. I think I'm going to leave the Gruul Turf in play. Could be wrong. We'll play Tracker and pass. One of the few cards we actually want to put into play against them. Like, I guess if we drew in a Zeus or a Dryad, we might play it here just because we might be very low on land count, especially if they hit more Smallpoxes, which is quite unlikely, but possible. There is another Smallpox. Jeez, dude. Okay. We'll pitch the Forest. Yeah, this third Smallpox was just almost impossible to play around. I mean, at least we still have Saga, so we can potentially find a route to Titan mana. And they had to sacrifice their factory as well, which is quite a hit for them to have taken. Growth Chamber. Alright, we'll play the Saga and pass. We can use Growth Chamber to make a token, and then pick the Growth Chamber up to its own trigger. And that way we get the second Amulet. Something interesting to consider. I guess, actually, interesting. We can let this go. I think, again, there's no reason for us to play this Amulet. Like, it would cost us getting a token, and this lets us play around Wrench Mind a little better, so yeah, I'm actually just going to activate the Saga and pass here. Urborg messing all of this up, making it a little harder. Alright, we'll pass and pick up the Growth Chamber. Yep. Then we're about to float a mana, get another Amulet and play Amulet, and then, even if we draw a Titan, we can play Simic Growth Chamber and cast that Titan immediately, so Raven's Crime. Well, I guess we're pushing Gruul Turf at this point, keeping the Growth Chamber so we could transmute Telari West if we find it. Could just kill him with this Tutu. It's definitely not impossible. How about the 4th Amulet, huh? Alright, well, let's float a mana, I guess. Now we're definitely keeping one of these Amulets in hand. We could Pithy Needle naming Mishra's Factory. Or we could... I don't think we want to Pithy Needle naming anything, because Factory is not going to kill us in the short term, and they don't have enough mana to cast Liliana either, so getting Amulet here allows us to play around Wrenchmind and Raven's Crime, so we can keep our bounce land in hand, and allows us to top deck Titan, so... If we got Pithy Needle, then we would have to play out all of our Amulets here and have just the Growth Chamber in hand, which makes us die to Raven's Crime pitching our land, or something like that. Mistress Factory. Again, like, why do we actually care about this? I don't think that we do. We even have a 4/4 that can just straight up block it. And there's Titan. Right, so we'll 5 to get rid of yields. And our opponent is extremely, extremely dead. Assuming that we have not put any of our relevant lands in the graveyard, which I don't think that we have. Our opponent concedes. Okay, well, that was a very weird match, as all matches against 8-rack are. And we didn't really get to use Through the Breach or anything much, but, I mean, Through the Breach, obviously, against discard spell decks and very low resource, like, grindy kind of strategies, Through the Breach is just like a dead card, pretty much. So, of course, we're not going to use Through the Breach very much in this particular match, but regardless, I hope that you guys enjoyed that and found it very interesting how we were playing, I guess. I don't know. Let me know if you think I was just doing all kinds of things wrong, and I will see you guys for the next match. This is Redface Menace, signing off.